All right, welcome back to the channel. Canelo Alvarez and Dazn are at each other's throat over the dumbest contract in boxing history, and Dazn should have to pay up. Canelo said, "See a fool, play a fool," and he saw Dazn and he played Dazn. Now they want out, want to renegotiate. Let's talk about that in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel. I told you. I made this video before, dog, but now people are catching on, right? So people are making more videos about it, but I've been saying this for a while, man. Look, Canelo Alvarez and Dazn. Canelo Alvarez, let me do the background. I'm so happy about this. There's like few things that really get me happy in boxing and really touch my inner petty. But this is, it's just at one. I've become one with my inner petty over two issues. Dillian White and Alexander Povetkin, because man, I swear that's so beautiful. And Canelo Alvarez and Dazn, because this is beautiful. So I'll start with the beginning and let you guys get the gist of it. Dazn wants Canelo to take a 50% pay cut off of his contract. And Canelo's saying, no, I'm not about to do that. You signed up for it, stick with it. And so now they're at an impasse, right, about who their next opponent will be. My point of view, which I will go into in detail, or relative detail, we only got like 10 minutes, so you can't only go in so much detail. But I'm going to explain to you why Canelo Alvarez and Dazn dude just got exactly what they deserve. They got what they asked for, and now they want out of it. And Canelo Alvarez, it's just some nonsense. So let's just go on and get into the details. Dazn signed Canelo Alvarez, as many we know, you guys know, to a $365 million contract over 11 fights. When that contract was signed, many people were like, oh, Dazn, Canelo, the face of boxing, the biggest contract in the history of sports, and right? Remember that? And it was promoted, the size of the contract was actually promoted by Dazn, right? Dazn knew what they were doing. They gave him $35 million a fight for 11 fights because Canelo was fighting on pay-per-views, and that's what they estimated his income to be for the pay-per-views. So they said, hey, come fight with us. We'll give you 11 fights. I think they said like one a year has to be, at least this is what in the articles that I read. And remember, this is a fan channel. I'm a boxing fan. I'm talking to you as a boxing fan as if we are sitting across the table drinking a beer. I don't drink beer, but tipping a scotch or something like that. Keep your mind into who you're talking to and why I'm talking to you like this. I'm a fan. So Canelo Alvarez, they had to pay him the $35 million, and that's what I said going into it. I was like, when HBO went out of business, which by the way, is the route that Dazn is going. Like, there's so many things to say. I got to stick on topic. But when HBO fell apart because they didn't listen to boxing fans, they were arrogant, didn't listen to boxing fans, they listened to boxing writers. They started putting on a bunch of little itty bitty people from other countries other than the United States that people didn't care about. And before you knew it, their whole boxing program was shut down because they listened to the moronic people like the guys over there at Ring Magazine and ESPN that put guys like Monster Inoue and Eric Estrada on there, Eric Estrada, Juan Carlos Estrada, and Gennady Golovkin, although he's already gotten beat and ain't looked like crap in the last 3 years, keeping them on pound for pound list and thinking that they could promote people or trick people into supporting these fighters. HBO went out of business, right? So Dazn comes and says, ooh, we can catch the superstars. We'll catch the superstars. Now, remember, before HBO shut down, Top Rank was already gone. Top Rank left first. They saw the writing on the wall and broke out. Oscar De La Hoya stayed there because he had nowhere else to go. He had already screwed up ESPN because they had a Golden Boy on ESPN and they weren't doing, and that program wasn't doing any numbers, right? Couldn't go to the PBC because the PBC used to own the PBC and he lost it because he wasn't paying attention, because he wasn't smart enough to have an independent counsel review the contracts of his own fighters. Because if he had that done, he would realize that those guys weren't signed to him. They were signed to Al Heyman. But he didn't do it. So the only place he had to go was Dazn. So he negotiated with Dazn. Dazn was desperate to get to Canelo. Why? Because people were telling you that he was the biggest, he's the face of boxing. He's the biggest star in the world. He's so gigantic. He's the next Mayweather. Telling you that. Even though that was never the truth. You can go back to my channel and the videos that I made. They might not be up still because I do take them down every once in a while. But back when Canelo Alvarez fought Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., and they said that he did 1 million pay-per-views, right? I was like, he did 1 million pay-per-views? They announced it. How could you know that he did 1 million pay-per-views when Oscar De La Hoya said it 5 minutes after the fight? And none of that stuff had been tabulated. That was just Oscar De La Hoya saying what the numbers were, right? And then the media, like, the echo chamber, when they want to echo chamber for people, said, okay, yeah, that's true. Yeah, it was 1 million, it was 1 million. They never released the numbers. You have no idea what his pay-per-view numbers were, right? But they were around 1 million. Then they said, Gennady Golovkin did 1 million, 1.2 million, but they never released the numbers. And I'm like, if he's doing 1 million for a fight like Gennady Golovkin, he's not a Manny Pacquiao level fighter, man. Manny Pacquiao was doing better numbers than that against fighters. Floyd Mayweather Jr. did much better numbers against than Canelo Alvarez does. If his marquee fight was Gennady Golovkin 1, and he did they reported 1.2 million pay-per-views or somewhere around there. But dude, do not believe that thing got over 1 million pay-per-views. So Dazn wanting to get Canelo and believe in the media hype, right, around him. Not saying that not media hype is him being a fighter, but I'm just saying when people are selling like they do with Anthony Joshua, when they sell your success, right, or Floyd Mayweather Jr., really, that's a great one, selling the idea that because he's so successful, people will get behind the guy that they think is successful. So if we just say Canelo is super popular, people will go to him and start following him because, he's super popular and I want to be and watch the fighter that is super popular. But dude, really? He was a major star, but he was never somebody that was on a Floyd Mayweather Jr. level, a Mike Tyson level, a Oscar De La Hoya level. He never was that. Never was that. And is not that now. And as a result, they gave him this $35 million and they say, we want you to fight 2 premium fights a year, right? Now, I don't have their contract, and I'm telling you, I'm talking to you as a fan based off the news that I hear on the just the news that I read and the things that I hear. But in one of the articles, they said that the hang up for Dazn was that they had a issue that Canelo Alvarez said he would fight premier opponents, a premier opponent a year. Now, off the cuff, my thing is, do you have a definition for what premier is? What does that mean? What is premier? Is premier somebody that holds a belt? Is premier somebody that is in the top three of the sanctioning bodies, number 1 of the sanctioning bodies? What is a premier fight, right? That is just like loosey-goosey as it could possibly be. Now, if you said must fight undisputed for unification fights is a premier fight, a fight that is reasonably expected to, I don't even know what defines premier. However, I suspect that Canelo Alvarez could say, hold on, man, I fought Daniel Jacobs. That's premier. That was what other welterweight, middleweight is there for me to fight besides him, right? And plus, maybe somebody else doesn't want to accept the money that you're offering them for the fight. So if you don't give them fair offers, how can I fight somebody that's premier if you don't live up to your part of the bargain and make sure that those guys get enough money to fight, right? So, but he could easily argue that Jacobs and Kovalev were both premier fights. One in 2018, one in 2019. But now you got 2020, and that doesn't mean you have to fight the very next fight. You have to fight somebody that's premier. You could give me somebody that is a passover, an easy fight in my first fight, right? And then I can be back in the second. But then again, it's at the end of the year, so they're saying, oh, no, there's only one fight. You have to fight a premier fight. Well, to them, maybe the only guy that is premier is Gennady Golovkin. But anyway, let's get into this. So Dazn is now asking Canelo Alvarez to take half the money. And Canelo Alvarez is telling him, man, get out, kick rocks. Now, I read on Twitter, and it's funny how the comments that people leave about this, right? And I'm only going to respond to one, which is the idea that, hey, man, you need to be thankful, because this is the boxing media, dude. This is boxing media, right? In bed with Dazn, or in bed with Dazn or the promoters that want to put out these messages like, well, Canelo needs to be thankful. $16.5 million in a pandemic is a godsend. No, it ain't. Not to a guy that makes $35 million. Not for a guy that made $70 million last year. How do you figure that a guy that made that $16 million this year is a godsend to a guy that made $70 million last year and $70 million the year before? He made $140 million over the last 2 years, and you think it's a godsend for him to get $16 million. No, it's called underpaying him. And him saying, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm not fighting for $16 million. No, I turned down the fight. Give me a better one. When you can find a fight that is a $30 million fight and I like it, maybe I'll do it. But guess what it ain't going to be? It's not going to be Gennady Golovkin, because Gennady Golovkin is not a premier fight. Right? So like say you say, oh no, good. Gennady Golovkin's a premier fight. Why? Wouldn't then Demetrius Andrade be a premier fight? Did you give him the opportunity to fight Demetrius Andrade? You just want him to fight Gennady Golovkin, and that's it. But dude, Gennady Golovkin 3, man, is so far past its end date that if you went and really had an argument with somebody about whether that was an elite fight or not, dude, it can make an argument that that's not an elite, that's not a premier fight. But anyway, just the dumbest contract in the world. It's going to come to an end because it was stupid to begin with, as will Dazn, because their business model does not work in the United States like we told you it wouldn't. But anyway, that's my take on the matter. I could talk a half hour on that one, but I got to go. Much love in the super. Dang, nobody super chatted. Much love in for everybody to subscribe. Leave a comment, like, share, and subscribe. All that good stuff. Thank you for supporting the Patreon. Thank you for supporting as a member of the channel and in the live streams. And with that, I'm out. Deuces.